right then and there, I knew that.
There are fire crews just screaming into this area from every conceivable direction.
By this time, some of the top chiefs in the department had joined Chief Pfeiffer, running the command post, sending guys upstairs.
Every time I looked around, just new faces.
I have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here.
Into the North Tower of the World Trade Center.
I don't know if you got to work or you're still at home, but I left a message there also. There wasn't an explosion, or at least I heard an explosion in the second building of the World Trade Center.
It's fire, it's flames, and it's unbelievable. And everybody's on the street looking. It's really amazing.
Hi there. Just had massive explosion in the World Trade Center complex. We're trying to evacuate now. People are getting out. Talk to you later. Bye.
The city's 911 system is overwhelmed with calls.
We are unable to complete your call due to the emergency in Lower Manhattan.
Office workers are watching the tragedy unfold in the North Tower from their offices in the undamaged South Tower.
Into the other tower, coming from south to north. I watched the plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
From what appears to have... There it is right there.
Again, I'm looking from south to north, and it went into the one on the right.
That appears...
Closer towards me.
Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
It's 9:03 a.m. There is no longer any doubt that America is under attack.
And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine at this juncture.
Of the World Trade Center have been hit by aircraft. Both are in flames.
There is black smoke coming from both of the towers. It's a horrific scene here. There's debris flying through the air.
Mayday. There were two planes. I saw the second one hit.
Every wall.
Oh, good Lord. This is terrible.
It was just...
And just moments ago, so maybe 18 minutes after the first impact, the second tower was impacted by another, what appeared to be another passenger plane.
It's 9:05 on WCBS New York, and we are covering for you a couple of explosions. Planes have crashed into each of the towers of the World Trade Center just within the last few minutes.
Heard 100 floor World Trade Center. 100. She was able to speak, just barely.
Mass and mass of people walking.
What did you see, George?
Yeah, well, I was in a car driving up, just gotten out of the Battery Tunnel, driving north on West Street when an enormous explosion happened. And it was larger than a construction explosion. I looked out the window, and what appeared to be an enormous tire smashed into the ground, and I believe it hit the car to the right of me. And it was just so scary, and there was also a ton of debris fall. And I jumped out of the car and I ran south away from the building because I thought there would be further explosions.
And have you seen anyone injured on the ground, George?
A man next to me was actually hit by a piece of debris in his arm, and they said that someone had been badly hurt in a car ahead of me. I'm not certain if it was the car next to me, and I can't verify that. All I can say is that a lot of debris was falling. It was very confusing because everybody, I think, immediately assumed that a bomb had exploded, and that sort of had people thinking that further bombs may explode. So there was sort of a rush away.
Did you see, George, the second plane, that jet, fly into the other twin tower?
I heard 2 explosions, however.
And they were en route to a different destination.
Right.
Of course, this story continues to unfold. Bob Kerr joins us now. Bob, where are you and what can you tell us?
Katie, good morning. I'm on the north lawn at the White House, and the first thing we looked for here in light of what's happened is whether there is any unusual activity out here, whether there's an unusual police or Secret Service presence, people on the roof, that sort of thing. We don't...
Morning. This makes the World Trade Center bombing of about 9 years ago look like a relatively minor incident.
The Twin Towers are in flames. Phone lines are jammed as people inside the towers and out
Ray and Ling had both survived the horror on the 78th floor and walked down the same stairwell. But the first time the two close friends saw each other that day was in an ambulance, in the hope that helicopters could rescue them. They didn't know the fire department had stopped rooftop rescues after 1993, and the Port Authority had barred access to the roof. I cannot... But the New York Times has learned there were no signs in the Twin Towers warning that access to the roof was blocked.
And unfortunately, they didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell the tenants. It's more natural to go away from the fire. I mean, isn't that what most of us would do? So you go away from the heat.
A good portion of the nation's capital, the most powerful center in the world, has been immobilized as well as a result of these terrorist
And that's
attacks.
a very haunting description that Bob Kerr just gave of that low-flying aircraft near the White House, and one can only wonder if that was something that ultimately ended up in the Pentagon.
We just saw a live picture of what seemed to be a portion of the building falling away from the World Trade Center. If we can re-rack that to about 20 seconds ago, you'll see something dramatic happening, and I don't know whether it's another explosion or a portion of the building falling away, but something major just happened at that building. Here we go to the tape.
We have the tape.
And watch what happens in the left-hand tower.
Knowing that a high-rise building has never collapsed before.
I waited. Time slowed down and everything became pitch black.
And I can still remember hearing, first of all, this boom. Right at the top, there was like sparkling confetti. And that was the windows bursting out into the blue sky up at the top. And the building started to slide down into its own dust.
Greg's final words was that the ceiling was falling, the ceiling was falling.
Damage and destruction to the World Trade Center.
Incidentally, Tom, I just want to interrupt you for 2 seconds because apparently Jamie Gangel has some more information for us. Jamie?
Spoken again to U.S. officials with access to the highest intelligence, and they are now confirming that it does appear that at the Pentagon it was a plane. Again, they are saying they believe now a third plane was involved at the Pentagon.
The fallout from the collapse spread out across southern Manhattan. Mary and Ling watched with their ambulance driver from just 2 blocks away.
This is my God, that's...
22 minutes after the collapse of the World Trade Center's South Tower, Louis Leshy climbs out from the underground mall and into daylight.
I just can't believe that this has happened, or that they've been lucky enough to have made it out. I would have to say, at this distressing time, I can see a huge pillar of dust and smoke where one of the Twin Towers once stood. It's too soon to speculate on the full extent of the horrifying damage right now.
A situation that started bad just gets worse and worse and worse. The World Trade Center, South Tower, which was hit by a plane and racked by an explosion approximately an hour ago, has totally...
I remember seeing Chief Pfeiffer.
Command post Tower 1. To all units. Evacuate the building. Command post to all units.
He gave it right away, very calm, didn't wait.
Where's that flashlight?
From the tone of his voice, I knew that it was no normal thing. I knew it was time to leave.
I remember saying to the guys, well, we're on.
And at 10:07, exactly 21 minutes before the collapse, they send down some warnings.
I knew there was nothing I could really do. I mean, I was not a fireman. I had absolutely no medical expertise at all. I was just a civilian. But as a cameraman, yeah, there was something I could do. And it was to document what was happening. So the cameraman took over and just filmed.
Gideon had made his way as close to...
I was telling you, you should not be here. The scenery was radically different. I mean, it was this white powder everywhere.
Take the selfie's mask. Get masked, we get an extra cylinder, and I want to go in.
Just a few people here and there. And this kind of silence.
You have ambulances straight down.
Of course, there's no word on casualties.
You have ambulances straight down.
But suffice to say, the loss of life presumably profound.
Ambulance straight down. Ambulance straight down. Hoorah!
Of course, at this point, everyone's concern is just getting north, getting away from the World Trade Center, as well as finding out where their families are.
The South Tower of the World Trade Center just minutes ago collapsed to the ground. Only one tower is standing at this point.
I have a direct line of sight to what is left of the World Trade Center. The fire continues to burn. I can see the flames through the thick smoke.
And we look, and the tower's here. So we say, okay, probably to something else. The tower is nice, it's standing. The other one, we can't see it, but it's probably just, on the other side, and no one tells us. We have no clue. So we walk north.
Just trying to figure out what took place here, and then try to gain some control. then was just a sense that this wasn't a good place to stay.
Chief Pfeiffer's priority was to set up a new command post and find his men. Right now, they were coming down the stairs.
At some point, I started to run. I don't even know if I was touching stairs on my way down. When I got about to 3 or 2.
I knew there was nothing I could really do. I mean, I was not medical expertise at all.
28 a.m. The North Tower begins to fall.
Is that the second building of the World Trade Center going down?
Yes, that is the second. That is the second tower. That is the second tower.
Watching my husband die right in front.
I had stepped out and the fire trucks twisted up like toys. I went back towards the building where there was a fireman, and I walked up to the fellow and I said, you know, hey, there's a body over here. Go on. And I realized there were actually bodies and people scattered all over the place. And you couldn't see what...
Cones of bodies. Cones of bodies.
Cones of bodies. Cones of bodies.
2,749 people died in the Twin Towers that morning, including...
Instead of the person coming to do the rescue.
It would take over 5 hours before Jay Jonas and the 13 people trapped with him would finally be rescued. They owe their lives to an extraordinary twist of fate.
Once the collapse reached our area, it kind of ran out of energy because the pile itself was about 6 to 7 stories tall, the debris pile. And we were in that 2-story cocoon. If you were lower than that, the debris settled there. All the furnishings and the fixtures inside the building, none of that existed after the collapse. There were no desks, there were no phones, no computers, no copy machines, no chairs, nothing. That had all been pulverized by the tremendous amount of energy that was created by this collapse. And it was just pulverized into this dust. And we're in the geographic, so you really had to be where we were.
Over there you can see a police emergency service unit. They're trying basically now to reestablish some kind of a safe perimeter. And many of the emergency workers basically just happy to be alive.
And I said, this is it? And he says, yeah, this is what's left. And I said, how many other people have come out of there?